Hello. All right. So for my number talks during immersion week, I got to do all four of them. The first one I did with group one, which is the highest math group. So they have three math groups. Group one is the highest, group two is like on level with fourth grade, and group one is below fourth grade level. So just to give you like a little background knowledge. So the first one I did double digit addition with group one since they were the highest group, just to see like how they grasped the concept of number talks because they had never done one before, and so that went pretty well. They did things like place value, and then at the end I kind of threw in like double digit multiplication just to throw it up a little bit, and lots of them gave me like good strategies that they use, like different things. Anyways, the second one I did double and so then I moved on to double digit multiplication with group one again to follow up with that, to let them think more about their ideas and what they had heard. And then towards the end I moved on to triple digit multiplication just to kind of get their like brains going, and that group really likes a challenge, so they really did good with that. And so I was like really surprised with that. So, anyways, the third one I did with group three, which again is the lowest group, just to kind of like be able to compare like the highest versus the lowest. And so, sorry, I have notes I'm looking at. So with group three, I just did double digit like addition, specifically focusing on place value. But at first they did not really like get that. They were just like telling me like if I did 31 plus 48, instead of saying 30 plus 40 and 1 plus 8, they were saying, oh, I would put 31 above 48 and just, add it in the columns like that, which is fine, but I wanted them to move to place value to add them, which eventually by the end I was kind of hitting around like, how can we group the numbers and stuff, and they like really got that. So then to compare group one and group three together, on the last day I did from the PowerPoint on Canvas, I did the halving and doubling, which I really liked. And some of them with their multiplication, especially like the double digit, like even group three, like they like it and they're pretty good at it, but they still need some help. So I started off with group three, and I did like 4 times 4, 2 times 8, that the 4 is half to get to 2, and the 8 is doubled to get to the 8, and so forth. So anyways, that worked really well with group three. I even saw them by Friday, like working on this, like using it to help them solve their problems, which was great. Like I love to see that, And anyway, so with group one, did not work so well. I tried with group three, I could use like, we did like triple digits, and I even did like into the thousands place, and they really got it, but group one was not so hot. So I started off doing 4 times 4 and the 2 times 8 representation again, and I could already tell that they didn't really know what like halving and doubling was. Like they really like got them confused. And so I started saying, like, for doubling, did you multiply by 2 or did you divide by 2? Are you making the number smaller? Are you making it bigger? Trying to get them to like really think about like the process of doubling and halving, but it still like really wasn't resonating. So that did not go as well. And I spent 15 minutes on like 2 problems. So as far as that goes, like it wasn't really very beneficial for them. But for group three, like I thought it went really well. Like I loved that. So I feel like I, pretty much explicitly like talked about like what happened. Day 4 definitely like was my best day. Like I loved that, especially with group three. They even were like, if I gave them like 1,056, they were like breaking the 1,000 into 500, and the 56 like the 50 into 25, and the 6 into 3, and then like adding the place values together, which I thought was great. Like I should have wrote their I should have wrote their work down on like a big piece of like paper, but I did it on the whiteboard, um, just to like save time and whatnot. But it was like really good. Like I would definitely do it with them again, and they were really like engaged in it. And by day 4, they were like, "Oh, what are we gonna do today? Like, how can they like show me like their skills and like their expertise and stuff like that?" Um, and so communication at first was really hard. Like for day 1, like not doing a number talk before, like I'd watch videos like beforehand, and like the ones that you had shown in class, just to kind of like get a feel for like how to explain it to them. And so I used like the 1 and the 2 and the stuff like that. They still like wanted to raise their hand because that's what they're so used to. But by like day 3, and definitely by day 4 for group 3, like they pretty much got it and they understood like what was going on. That was just kind of hard, like at first, like still wanting to raise their hand and like shout out, and the kids that weren't as on task, like not participating. I feel like the videos, like all the kids are perfect. And so it was kind of like hard to, the very first one I did, I was kind of like frustrated because I'm like, they're still raising their hand. Like, did they not listen to me? And my CT was kind of like, they've never done this before. So I kind of had to like remind myself to, like, it's okay. It didn't really work as well the first time, but as far as the instructional part. So like with that, the communication, like with the advanced discussion, like I did use like, okay, like place value for like group 1, so that maybe they would think about place value. It took them a little bit longer, but eventually by the end they were like adding like 50 plus 10 and 3 plus 7 and stuff like that. So like, why did I do each of these? Like, I guess on like the order that I chose. So again, like for day 1, I chose the double digit addition, like just like I said, just to assess like what they knew, like to build off like for the rest of the week, so they kind of had an idea of like what was coming. Because I feel like by 4th grade, like you should be able to work with double digit addition specifically. If I had more time, I would definitely do subtraction and throw in some division, but I just worked with like addition and multiplication for right now. And then day 2, like doing the triple digit at the end to heighten their thinking and like give them a challenge. Day 3, just kind of taking it back down a step, back to kind of day 1 for the 3rd group, just to assess like what they knew and like what I could get from them and how far I could push them to see like the knowledge that they knew. And then, the 4th day, the last day that I did it, comparing the 2 groups, and like their knowledge was like, you would think in 4th grade, like they would all like not be so spread out, but from the halving and doubling, I could definitely tell that like that was a lot to reflect on. And so like through completing this assignment, like I learned, like I just said, that like even though you think the kids like shouldn't be that spread apart, they are. And also like the way you explain things, like kids can understand or they could be completely confused. So explaining them like 2 or 3 times, maybe in a different context, like place value. At first, I just said, we're going to do double digit addition. I want you to show me like your different strategies on how you like learned how to add these, or how you know how to add them. And since I wanted them specifically to show me place value, I didn't say that because I thought that they would use that method. But towards the end, I kind of had to say, okay, now how would you like add these with place value, like specifically? And they're like, oh, like we know. So you had to like kind of tell them. And that was again with the 3rd group. So the first group didn't have, the highest group didn't have much of a problem with that. But so reflecting like on this, like, as a whole, like, I don't know if I would do this in my class. Like, to be honest, I really liked it when I got to day 4 and they got to, like, group number 1 was, like, really understanding what was going on. But I feel like my CT, like, I feel like I had to be rushed to do these. Like, I got like 10 or 15 minutes out of a 30-minute block, which I feel like was, like, pretty lenient. Like, I had enough time to do a little snippet of whatever. But like, if I was the CT and somebody else wanted to do a number talk in my class in her situation, like, it'd probably be hard to, like, give that 10 minutes up because it's so crucial and, like, they have a lot to learn and stuff. But also, I would do it for the fact of, like, kind of review and stuff like that. Like, I think it's a really good review aspect. I think, like, a more kind of like a formative assessment, because not all the kids, like, at first, like, really understood, like, what was going on. So I would definitely take, like, in my class, like, take a full amount of time to really explain, like, what was going on, and then the next day, like, do a problem and kind of build off that to see. I wouldn't, like, completely, like, rule this out, but I would have to, like, make sure, like, the class I had, like, all worked together. And I feel like the way I did it with, like, each group, like, being all the same level, like, it made it easier. And so if you were doing it in, like, your whole homeroom class where, like, all of the abilities are, like, mixed together, I feel like, honestly, I don't know how it would go, because I feel like that, the lower kids could feed off the higher kids and their thinking could be more heightened because of that. But then also the higher kids aren't really being as challenged with that aspect. But like I said, I feel like it is, like, a really good review to use. But I really don't have any questions about this or anything. And all in all, I think it went pretty good. So that's my reflection on my number talk.